Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you've joined me here today. I want to do something a little bit different and do kind of a summary of 2024 in terms of my art journey. It was an interesting year and ended with some pretty cool challenges and turns into some new ventures that I'm excited about for 2025. And so I'd like to take some time and just sort of share some of the art that I completed during the year and where I'm headed and some of the challenges that I had. So doing art is kind of an interesting thing. For those of you that are creatives, you know that we can kind of get inside of our head and well, let's be honest, we get a little insecure sometimes about what people think about our work because art is so subjective. And there are some incredible artists out there, and I would never want a single piece of their art in my home, or I appreciate their talent, but it's not my style preference. And so when we produce art, we know that when somebody rejects our style preference for their personal tastes, it's hard not to let it get to us. And it's like, well, is it not good? And just different things. And everybody has different tastes. And so it's a hard thing to deal with. And so, 2022 and 2023, moving here to South Carolina from California was challenging for me in terms of my art journey. And there's just a lot of different things. When I was in California, I had developed a circle of network that people knew my work and people were buying it. I was in some festivals and a small local gallery. I had entered some shows, and so my work was being, you know, accepted, and it was pretty cool. And then I moved here to South Carolina, and all the challenges of moving in general, the excitement, but also the change and the letting go of things, and the effort it takes to find new jobs and get settled in a new rhythm and fix up your house and learn the neighborhoods. There's just a lot of mental things that kept me, maybe not everybody, but it kept me from doing art as much. And thankfully 2024 has ended with kind of an uptick in a focus of getting back to some art. And then I want to just be honest. I hit some challenges early on, trying to find some festivals to sell at that didn't go well. They weren't the right venues. And then also finding a job and getting involved in the work-life rhythm that I do. Weekends are virtually impossible to then go and search out venues where I can sell. I'm a minister at a church. I work Sundays. And so most festivals are 2-day events. And so, I can't and don't want to take weekends off because I love what I do. That said, it makes it challenging to start from scratch in a new area to figure out where to get your work shown. And with all the other challenges, I'm making excuses, no doubt. Some will interpret it that way, but it just was the process I went through, excuses or not. And so I look forward to finding venues in time here where I can show my work and sell it. I've shared this on a previous video, I think, as well. There was one gallery owner that I went and saw. It was kind of a community gallery. It wasn't a high-end gallery. It was a beginner, mid-level gallery type place. And one of the owners had seen my work at, a holiday festival that I was selling at and said, you should come and we'd like to, have some of your work there. And then I went in and tried to meet with her again, and she wasn't in, and another owner was there, and the owner just quickly panned my work, saying, we don't think your work is good enough to be here. And that hit me hard because I looked at a lot of the work around the room, and it's like I felt like my work fit in just fine. But nonetheless, those words cut deep, and again, artists are, we're moody, insecure people. Or at least I can be, maybe not all. But, it hit me hard, and I didn't paint for a long time after that. So that wasn't recent, but that was since I've moved here, and it played into my journey of getting started back up, and to take those biting, cutting words out of my brain and say, no, no, no. Their opinion doesn't matter. It maybe matters to get into their gallery, but it doesn't matter in terms of creating my art and progressing and growing and finding ways to get it out there. And not all my work has to go into galleries or be sold. Art should just be celebrated and done because the love of making art. But if you're also trying to make a side gig out of it, I don't ever expect to have it be my sole source of income. But I would like to supplement my income. And so yeah, it gets a little challenging. All right. So I'm going to be done with the whining, and let's just get into some of the things that I created this year. Some of it was done in my actual yard, believe it or not. I have a beautiful yard, I think, and I wanted to focus on some nature. I like doing landscape. A lot of it's done on trips that I take, travels that I've done. So I did some at some resorts and in Idaho and on a cruise ship. You've probably seen some of those videos if you do follow my channel. And our channel is very mixed, but I do have a watercolor or art playlist, and so I include those in there. And so maybe you've seen some that I did, but I'd like to take some time and stop being a talking head here and go and show you some of the things I did this year. So let's get at it. Here's one from my yard when the springtime happened, and I have this magnolia tree. It's not the white magnolia tree. It's another variety that had these incredible pink flowers. And I just loved those flowers and painted this quick little sketch. And I think it's pretty. Next, we took a trip to Idaho, to Boise to see some family. And out of the room, there was snow. Even though it was in April, there was snow on the mountains still. And then the valley. I just thought it was beautiful. And so then I just painted this quick little sketch from a balcony where we were staying. Next, we went to Disneyland, and we were at the Grand Californian Hotel's pool, and I just was sitting there, just took some time to paint, and they have some beautiful awnings and this structure next to the pool area. It's just gorgeous. And this was an exciting painting to do. One of the workers just fell in love with it, and as a result she did what we call pixie dusting, and she gave me a photo frame and a bag from the Grand Californian Hotel and a note saying how much the staff loved it. She said she was going to buy it, and I gave her my address and such, but she never followed through. But that's fine. I just had a fun time painting that. And then also they had a lot of wisteria bushes hanging from those trellises, and so I painted that quickly as well. Just a fun, colorful painting. I just like that one. I like to paint when we travel, and so we did go on some Disney cruises, and this is from one of the islands, and I just had fun painting that. I just take my equipment and I go out there and paint while everybody's doing all their other stuff, and swimming and sunbathing, and so I painted that. And these show up on a Disney vlog that we did on the ship. I just took it. This is supposed to be a square, and painted some of the stacks of the ship. Quick little sketch. This was also on Disney's new island, and that I want to be a square as well. And so that's one of their points, Lighthouse Point. And then another larger painting. This one just again looking at the beach, going down to the water. It was starting to rain that day, so I had to move under covering to finish that one off. Again, these show up on a Disney video. The links will be below, or just look at my channel and you'll find it. All right, back to the talking head for just a moment. I wanted to do oil paintings for a long time. There's just some things about it that I think are beautiful. I love watercolor, and that's why I started with it. And interestingly, most people consider watercolor to be more difficult than oil painting. But for me, oil painting had some fascinating roadblocks in my mind to get started. I bought some oil paints and a few brushes a few years ago before we even moved from California, and I just never got into it. I tried a couple little paintings, and it was fun. But oils just felt messy, and I didn't understand the canvases or boards, or did it slip? Did it slide? It was just weird. It was thick. It took too long to dry. Was it toxic? How did you use it? And watercolor just seems simple to me. It's just paper, water, and some pigments. And so I approach that easily. Now, the difficulty of watercolor in terms of saving your lights and painting, starting with your lights and then getting darker, opposite of, and it's just a twist in the brain. It's hard for a lot of people to do that. Whereas oils, you just start with your darks and add highlights, and you can change things. Whereas watercolor, you can't. And you can control oil more because it doesn't flow and move if you don't thin it too much. So again, a lot of people think watercolor is far more difficult. But for me, again, there were those roadblocks to it. So I thought, man, I need to take a course, a workshop. I've been watching videos for years, some different artists on YouTube, and it was just a hard thing for me to jump into. So I learned something pretty cool. One of the few advantages of getting old, at least here in South Carolina, colleges offer free tuition for people over 60. And so I live where there is an art school. It's part of the College of Charleston. They have a school of art. And again, I discovered that I could get in, and I don't get credit towards a degree. That's fine. I'm not pursuing a degree, but it's not just auditing the class. I'm getting an actual grade. So I signed up for an oil painting class, and it was amazing. And so I'd like to share with you some of the oil paintings that I did this last part of the year. And I'm excited going into 2025, and I'll share with you some of that. Okay, so the beginning of the class started out with some basic things. We were to draw some thumbnails. The instructor set up a whole bunch of still lifes, and then we were to paint with one color, ultramarine blue, and white. So I guess two colors, but we were not allowed to use a whole palette and mix different colors. So we were supposed to create a mood with this. The blue makes it seem like it's more peaceful. I was painting this thinking this was anxiety. It's like, is that apple going to fall off the table? And of course, composition, bringing all of the lines coming up to that point and going into that apple, or the apple coming down. Either way, it's got this story guiding you. It's fine. I appreciated that exercise. I got done quicker in class than other people did, and so I had extra time. For me, one of the reasons why I wanted to oil paint was because I like the texture of impasto, which is heavy, thick layers of paint with brush or palette or scraping. And so again, I had this extra time, and she let me just go for it, even though it wasn't part of the assignment. But I don't know if you can see the lifting of the layers. I just scraped it on quickly with the palette. Lots of energy here, and she loved it. I loved it. I thought it was fun. And that's one thing you can't do with watercolor, obviously, is you can't create depth and texture. All right, well, as you know, if you followed me, I am not a still life person. I am a landscape person. I love doing plein air. So this class was challenging in that there was so much still life. Obviously, you're in a studio in the class. And so our next assignment was to do what is a classic style of art using skulls and decay, and it was a certain period of time. This was used a lot in art, and we were told to use a cool palette, so we still had just a limited number of colors we could use, 3 colors, and so she set up this still life, and I cropped in on it. And I used actually a lot of watercolor sort of technique as I thinned down the paint, created lots of drips under it before I added layers on there. And this was a fun exercise, and creating the folds in the fabric, it was good. We had feedback time with fellow students, and they all really liked some of this watercolor type effect, as they were thinking it was, and encouraged me to pursue that in further work, which is funny because I'm getting into oils, wanting to do, thicker layers of scraping and palette knife. So there you go. Just lean in with your experience. All right, the next painting, we were to bring in our own items and set up a still life. And with this one, learn using a warm palette. So we used 3 colors again, but on the warm side of the color wheel, and to use brushstrokes and textures, really lean into that. So I had a basket with a wood twig handle, a feather duster that was like is lamb's wool, and then that blue is a knit cap I've got. And I just set them up there with the color contrasts and did that. Lots of texture in here with the palette knife, just scraping it on there. Different texture to create, I don't know if you can see from the light, just to create different weaving patterns. And then of course, all of that twig. It was fun. I used brushes and palettes and scrapers and different things to create that. And I think it was successful. All of my paintings during the class got A's and A pluses, so that was nice. The instructors seemed to like them as well. I was certainly feeling successful in what I was doing. All right, next I went out. This actually wasn't a class assignment, but I did a meetup group with some plein air painters here in Charleston, and we went to a plantation, and I painted this set of oak trees with the Spanish moss. I love the Spanish moss. This was supposed to be a creek. I have to work on that to try to make it look like water as opposed to a path. I did add some blue in there just so you would think that, but I don't know. Not entirely successful, but trying to do plein air oil painting, that's one of my challenges. Getting a wet canvas home. I know that there are wet canvas boxes, but that was challenging. But I still had fun. This paint here is applied very thick, and I just scraped on the moss, and I had fun doing that. That's not a very good painting, is it? It's not a painting at all, obviously. Well, on the other side it is. But part of the class, we learned to build our own canvas frames and stretch our own canvas. And so that was pretty cool as well. And so then this assignment really excited me. I love this painting, and I feel like I did it very successfully. Now, this is not my design and composition. The assignment was to do a master copy of an artist that we really love and would challenge us. And as this was done plein air landscape by John Singer Sargent, I wanted to do it. I love Sargent. He's one of my favorite painters. And so if you go and look up the original, I think I did a pretty decent job, and the instructor gave me incredible feedback, and so I love that. But if you just study his painting, and that's why you do master copies, is that's just the colors that were used, but also the composition, the grasses, the hill, everything takes you up here. The wind, clearly wind-swept grasses that are just laying down in some sections and lifting straight up in others, and just the color in here. You think you want to see the tree as the primary focus, and the use of this intense color with the sunlight and the rock, everything kind of pulls you over into here. But that pulls you over there, and then you realize, oh no, this is sweeping. Everything is up sweeping. Everything is taking us to this cloud. Even these other clouds are drawing us down to here. And his brushwork, even in this cloud, is swirling within itself. I don't know why he wanted to draw us to that cloud. I mean, we're not in his mind, but clearly he did. And just observing that painting and learning from it, the use of bold color and incredible marks, I had fun. And I'm already beginning to dream of how I can use what I learned in this painting. Back to another still life, but this one we could use any full expanded palette. And the goal of this one, she set up a bunch of items that were reflective or transparent glass. And so that was the assignment to learn how to do that. I had fun with this. I don't know why she set up the yellow rope going through there, but it did allow the opportunity to do the refraction in the glass and such. So a beautiful pottery pot, the reflections on this indented ceramic pottery, and then of course more tablecloth. She loved fabric, swooping the fabric all over the place. But I leaned into, again, the drips, the class offering me feedback that they love that and should try that more. And I've seen artists do stuff similar to that. So I thought, well, why not? Rather than just a flat modeled background, let's just have fun with that. And of course, then everything just pulls you down, cascades off the table. And so just the composition's kind of neat that way. Bookending it with a lot of the bright magentas and just the flow of the color coming in here, the pink into here, and the magenta over there again. It's just a fascinating layout of stuff, and I enjoyed that painting a lot. All right, in the midst of the class, I also chose to do a lino cut. I love lino cut. I did this to make our Christmas cards, and so everybody on our Christmas card list got an original limited edition lino cut block print. And so that was a fun thing as well. And so doing that carving, I made a full video of that process, so go ahead and check that out if you're interested as well. But that was a fun way to be creative in the midst of everything going on. All right, the final project in the class was something that was really fun. Originally, the assignment was to create 3 paintings that tied together that included still life objects that would remind us of somebody that was meaningful and special in our lives. She then reduced it down to 2 paintings and then further down to 1 painting as she realized that a lot of these young students in the class were traveling during the Thanksgiving holiday, preparing for Christmas and finals. They didn't have access to the studio as much because of the travel. This was her first year teaching at the college, and so she was adjusting her assignments based on the reality of students' lives. In any case, early on when it was 3 paintings, I had an idea in mind, and so I went ahead and still did the 3 paintings. Obviously, living at home and not in the dorm, I had a better access to accomplish that. But because I am a landscape painter by preference, I asked her if there was a way that I could do landscape more than still life. And she agreed, but she still didn't want me to do it from photos. So my initial thought was a beautiful beach in California that was the favorite location of my mom's. Obviously, I wasn't going to be going back to California to do any painting there, so I had to come up with another option. As we have moved here into South Carolina, one of the favorite locations for my wife is our screen porch. And so I did my backyard. And then in our backyard on the screen porch, I have some decoration, some tchotchkes sitting on tables that just remind me of my mom and my grandfather and our previous life in California. And so I'm excited to show you these paintings. There they are, 3 paintings. Let's zoom in on the first one, the main one. This is the screen porch with our chair. Down here is an item on a coffee table that I zoomed in on another painting. And then over here, I zoomed in on yet another. But I started with this landscape idea. The light is reflecting on the screen. So it's not obvious. I mean, you've got the verticals that show that there's a boundary there, an indoor, outdoor sort of feel. Lots of shadow work on the pillows of the couch and such. I just had fun with this. This was late fall, early, yeah, this was November, December. And so obviously a lot of the leaves had fallen or were still yellow. And of course, I've got Spanish moss in my yard as well, so I just really enjoyed that. Then I zoomed in on this table and this copper platter with the patina of the blue-green sort of feel. This copper platter was my grandfather's. I think he actually made it. Oddly enough, my mom had that alligator. It's a piece of yard art that she used to keep in the ground or on the ground in some plants. Long before I ever thought we were moving to South Carolina. This is ages ago, and no gators in California. But she loved it and I inherited it. So we proudly have it on our porch and some pebbles inside the tray. And then the pumpkin, of course, reminds us of Half Moon Bay, the pumpkin capital of the world. And so we've got some succulents in that. Half Moon Bay being where we moved from in California to here. So I feel that was a very successful painting, and I had fun making that one. And then, of course, something very special to us, as you know, is our dog Waffles. And she loves going out on the porch and sitting on the chair in the sunshine. And so I focused on her on that one. So overall, there is my final for the class. And I loved it. And I got an A+ on that one. So not bragging. Yeah, I guess I am. So there you go. So what's next? 2025, I decided to take another class, Painting 2. I believe it's going to still focus in oils. In fact, I don't know that they teach watercolor or acrylic. I think being that oil is the classic medium for art and painting, that's what they do there. And I wasn't really going to take it because my goal for the class was just to become comfortable with using oils and painting on different surfaces and dealing with the odorless mineral spirits and, different things like that can be toxic and such. So I wanted to get comfortable with that and have some context on how to use it. And I accomplished that. So I didn't necessarily feel the need to move on to another class. But the structure of a class, the excitement of being challenged, and I just wanted more of that. So I'm taking another class this semester, starting in January, and I'm looking forward to it. But what really sold me on it was it's a different instructor, and apparently he loves to focus on, in his personal art, a lot on plein air painting. And so I want to glean from him. I'm not sure the class is going to offer any assignments with plein air, but I'm going to pick his brain. and hopefully he will allow me to push the boundaries of some of the class assignments to include that and to figure out how to grow in that way. Because I don't mind painting from a photographer's studio, but I really want to be immersed, as I've shared on some other painting videos. I feel like when I'm out in the environment, that is inspiring me, and that is what the art experience for me is. Putting the medium to paper is fun, but drawing from my observation and interpreting that is what I really like, and being immersed in that So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2025, doing more painting in that regard, doing some oil and not forsaken watercolor, and being involved in that. If you've watched all the way through, thank you so much, and I hope this has been inspiring to you. And if you're an artist, get out there and do whatever you do, and be creative, and that's just a wonderful thing. If you are liking my work and you're interested in purchasing, I would be honored and humbled and would love for you to consider it. Go to my website, lenbanks.com, and you'll see a gallery. None of my oils are in that gallery for sale. If for some reason you want any of those class projects, I would be happy to talk to you about that. Or if you want to talk to me about commissions or different things like that, I would really, really be honored by that. So thank you for checking that out. I also have prints and cards and different things that are more affordable. So that would be special if you check that out and decided to purchase something for yourself. So thank you for that. Hey, thank you for being here, and please ask questions, share your art journeys with me, and in the comments below, I'd love to engage with you on that as well. So thank you so much, and be good to others. Bye-bye.